Hey everyone, it's Yuli here. In this video, I'm going to show you tips and tricks you can do to mitigate your EMF exposure, specifically when you're renting Airbnbs. Currently, I'm renting an Airbnb, so I'm going to show you things I'm doing in this apartment, kind of as a travel hack to mitigate your EMF exposure. I'm holding here an EMF meter right now, and we'll start measuring things inside once we go to the apartment. Let's go inside. Alright, so please look at the meter here right now. If you see in the video, currently the EMF fields acoustimeter is picking up 3.16 volts per meter. This is very, very high. I'm here just in the living room in this Airbnb, and yeah, the readings are very high. And the reason it's high is because we have the Wi-Fi router. So tip number one, which you can do, is you can ask your owner to disable the Wi-Fi. However, this is a weird request. Many times when you ask an owner when Airbnb disable the Wi-Fi, they'll be defensive, maybe even aggressive, and maybe will not even let you rent the unit. That's one thing you can do, which I've done, to ask the owners to disable the Wi-Fi. Second thing you can do, you can actually log in to the actual router and disable the Wi-Fi. However, in this apartment where I'm standing right now, I already went to the router and disabled the Wi-Fi. However, as you can see, the readings are still very, very high. Many routers, unfortunately, are still emitting the radio frequencies once we're doing it. And this is the living room. This is where I'm supposed to eat in this Airbnb, and that's pretty high. So what you can do is the following. I'm holding here just a simple tank top. Just a tank top which is made out of silver fabric, basically inside. So what you can do, even if you don't want to talk to any owner and you have to stay in an Airbnb for a while and you care about EMF, carry something with silver or copper. And what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna take this and just gonna cover the Wi-Fi. This is light, it's easy to travel, as you can see. It doesn't hold any space, so you can take some form of clothing, EMF clothing, and cover the router. Let's go and do it. Alright, so we are here in front of the router. It's the Wi-Fi router. Usually that's the thing which is emitting the most EMF when you rent an Airbnb apartment. So even if you don't know how to log in and disable, even if you do, some routers still emit, which is the case here. I'm holding a tank top, which I've shown you before, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cover it. Now, before you do it, you should disable it from the electricity, which is what I've done, because right now the router is not emitting, otherwise you would be exposed a lot directly from the actual router. So I'm basically taking this tank top, which is made of silver, and you can use any type of silver or copper. This is easy to travel with, and you're just gonna cover it as much as possible from different sides. You wanna make sure it's covered well, and this will act as a Faraday cage, and then you don't need to worry about owners, don't need to worry about technical things. Just cover the router and you automatically mitigate one of the highest EMF exposures in every Airbnb you're renting. So it's pretty much covered. I'm gonna activate the electricity, I'm gonna do the measurements again. Alright, so I'm back to the living room. Now the router is disabled. Here is the EMF fields acoustimeter. If you'll see right now, the peak here in the meter went down from almost 2 volts per meter to around 0.46 volts per meter. It's kind of on the orange. This is not the lowest amount of EMF possible. However, just by mitigating the router and the Wi-Fi itself in the house, this made almost 4 or 5 times lower EMF. Okay, just to finish the point, look how close I am to the router. So that's where I'm standing. Right now the camera will turn and the router is right behind the television. So this is like 1 to 2 meters already. That's where I may be spending more of my time. That's the living room. I may be working here. And automatically the EMF was mitigated by law by disabling the router. Alright, second tip, after you handle the actual router, what you can do, especially if you need to use a laptop or to work, you can get just an Ethernet cable. I travel with an Ethernet cable, and I have one side of the cable connected to the router. So even if there is Wi-Fi in the house, you cover the router. Then I plugged in the Ethernet cable at the router, and I'm going to plug it in to my computer here. I'm just using an adapter, so if you have a computer which doesn't have an Ethernet port, you can just use a USB to Ethernet adapter. So that's all I've done. I just connected it, and right now I have internet. So that's how I use the internet on the computer. And even though the router is literally 3 meters from where I am, because I covered it and disabled the Wi-Fi, I can safely use my computer without worrying. Alright, so third tip, something very small, but if you are working on a computer, you want to make sure that the Wi-Fi is disabled on the computer. So right now, as I'm sitting here, you can see on the meter, it's around 0.29 volts per meter. It's kind of not high, but it's not low as well, but it's definitely lower. Look what happens when I turn on the Wi-Fi in the computer. Just a second, I disabled it by mistake. The Wi-Fi went on. And then you saw the meter had a spike to 3.33, and then as you can see again, it's spiking. So you can, something people are missing is disabling the Wi-Fi on the computer when plugging in the internet. Because right now I'm using the internet using the Ethernet cable. However, as you can see, when the Wi-Fi is on the computer, the meter is regularly spiking, and you're sitting very, very close to the laptop. So basically, just make sure to disable the Wi-Fi on the computer, and this is going to mitigate your EMF exposure directly from the laptop. Alright, tip number 4, you can travel with a grounding cable. So this is related if you're going to do more work on the computer. This is just a simple cable which is going to connect to the grounding here. I'm going to put it in the electricity, and now I'm going to go to the other side of the computer. And this is just a simple grounding adapter which you plug into your USB. This is the other side of the cable. And now the computer will be grounded. So even if you'll use your computer when charged, the computer will be grounded. So that's another small thing. You can mitigate your EMF. It's a very light cable which you can travel. That's one thing I always do when I work in front of the computer. Alright, tip number 5. Carry dirty electricity filters and just plug them in where you sleep. If you're gonna work in the Airbnb, just do it there, and you're gonna mitigate your dirty electricity. This is a very easy thing to do, very easy thing to mitigate. I'm just gonna show you. This is a Line EMI meter from Alpha Lab. This is measuring the dirty electricity. Currently, as I'm measuring, it's 42 millivolts. It's relatively low, but in many places it can be far higher. So when I rent an Airbnb or traveling, I just carry the either Stats Racer or the Green Wave, and you'll find another video where I compare this with the Green Wave filter in our channel. So all you do is plug it in, and as you can see on the meter, it went down automatically to 10 or 11. So I would just recommend either carrying one for your bedroom and one in your living room, and this will mitigate your dirty electricity. Alright, tip number 6. Something you can do an extra to make sure you have lower EMF exposure. If you'll see in the video, I travel with a USB to Ethernet adapter. And then I can still use my phone. This is my wife's phone, and I'm on Google and I have internet. As you can see, the internet on the phone is working, and that's how I access my phone, my iPad, and my devices, just by carrying an adapter. And I plug in the Ethernet cable, which is plugged to the adapter, and the same Ethernet cable is plugged to the actual router, the same cable I'm using to connect to my computer, and this way I can use my devices, I can get to the internet, I can do anything I need when I rent an Airbnb, but it's EMF safe. You can see the meter here, it's showing 0.32 volts per meter. The phone is on airplane mode. So that's tip number 6. Everyone, so I just want to conclude what I've shown you so far. I've shown you 5 different tips you can do to mitigate your EMF exposure when you're renting a random Airbnb. Now, all those tips are relevant also if you don't rent an Airbnb. It's relevant for your own house, and those are general EMF reduction tips, but in this video specifically I focused on things which I believe are the most important and the highest EMF exposures when you're renting a random place. Someone like me who does still travel a lot and being exposed to EMF, that's what I do to mitigate my EMF exposure immediately when I go to every Airbnb. Everything I've shown in this video I think is light, is easy to implement, and it's not heavy to travel with. So I do hope you find it useful, and next time you are traveling, whether it's in an Airbnb or it's in your house, you actually lower the EMF exposure using the tips shown in this video. Now, if you liked this video, if you liked this content, please don't forget, subscribe below. Click the button below to subscribe to our channel for more EMF protection tips, videos, and education. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have an amazing day.